Hello everybody, really warm welcome to you today. Marcus Kilvington here, and thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. We've got people from all over the country today, so it's really great to see so many of you on this. We've got people from Birmingham and London and Sheffield and Glasgow and Cambridge, so thank you so much for being here today. And 80% of success is showing up. So just to reiterate, you've got in front of you on this webinar a little chat box. You've got some controls. So as I go through this presentation during the next 60 minutes, please feel free to ask me as many questions as you want to, and I'll answer them all at the end, and I promise to stay on as long as we need to today in order to answer all of your questions. So just put your question into the chat box and press the send button, and that will send it straight down to me, and I will go through all of them for you at the very end of today. Now, I'm going to give you a lot of information today, and I want to give you as much value, as much information as I possibly can. So I'm going to make a couple of suggestions. Make sure you've got a drink to keep you nicely relaxed and refreshed in front of you, and also make sure that you've got a pen and plenty of paper, because I want you to make lots and lots of notes. And it's going to be quite pacey, this is, because I appreciate that our time is one of the most precious and valuable things that we have. So make lots of notes, and as I say, it's going to be quite pacey. Don't know whether any of you have been on a webinar before. I'm sure that some of you have, but I had a guy phone me up in the week that said to me, Marcus, where do I need to go to? And I kind of smiled to myself, and I said, you don't need to go anywhere. All you need to do is you just need to be in your office or your kitchen or your home, somewhere where you can actually log onto the internet and just watch the screen and listen to me talking. And he went, wow, I've never been on one of those things before. I said, well, kind of, this is the future, because what it means is people, haven't got to sit on the road for hours and hours going absolutely nowhere. So really warm welcome. So let's get started. Now, little gift for you at the end. I say little gift, it's something that's actually massively going to help you in 2014, and we're going to give you that at the very end when I've finished in about an hour's time. Now, I know some of you on this webinar today have been following us at Food Profits for a little while now, and you'll know that we're all about giving added value. So we're not just going to give you one gift today, we're actually going to give you 3 free gifts today. So stay on till the very end and we will be giving you those. I wanted to start off by sharing with a fact with you, and you might want to write this down because this actually isn't on the PowerPoint slide, but only 3% of catering and hospitality businesses are committed, and that's the key word really for me in here, is committed to doing better. And please write this down. Committed people are action takers. So let's have a little look at what we're going to go through today. The areas I'm going to cover are the state of the catering and hospitality industry and how times have changed, the 6 problems that could put you out of business or send you to the stars, some solutions that everyone should know to succeed, how you can be ahead of your competitors in every way, and as I mentioned a minute or two ago, 3 free gifts for you at the very end. I'm going to start off today with quite a powerful slide. I'm sure you'll all agree with me. Why are 97% of caterers going to find 2014 10 times harder than 2013? And excuse me, there is one very big reason for this. Excuse me. The total debt in the developed countries as a percentage of GDP is now 30% higher than at any time since the financial crash in 2008. Now that might come as a surprise to some of you on this webinar, because a lot of people don't know that. We're not told about that. You don't see it on the television, you don't read it in the newspapers, but an absolute fact. And the source of that information, as it says on the bottom right of that slide, is actually the Bank of International Settlements, that I'm sure most of you probably haven't heard of, but that's actually the bank for central banks, and I know you will all have heard of central banks. So let's just have a little look at what that looks like for the G10 countries. And here we are, we've got the UK over here, which has got the highest percentage of GDP debt, and I'm sure you'll all know this, but I'll just repeat it. The GDP of the UK in 2012 was £2.4 trillion. And what you can see from this graph is that in the UK we now have over 900% debt of GDP. So you might be thinking, okay Marcus, well what does that mean? Well, what it means is that what you hear and see on the television, reading the newspapers about the economy growing at roughly about 0.8% is actually fueled by increased debt, which means there's actually no real growth going on. And that in turn means one thing for a lot of people, and that one thing are tougher times ahead. I want to share with you now some bang up to date market data for the catering and hospitality industry, and I'm going to share this data with you. This is actually what's happening. Before I get into it, you might want to write a few notes from what I'm about to say now, and that is this: if you know what's happening, you can do something about it. You can anticipate, and that's the word I'd like you to write down. You can anticipate what is going to happen, and when you can anticipate what's going to happen, you're able to make better informed decisions. And these are three words I'd like you to write down. Anticipation equals power. Let's just talk about the 6 biggest problems that are facing your customers. So these are people that are going to walk in your pub or your cafe or your deli or your restaurant, or potentially going to walk in your pub, your cafe, your hotel, your deli, your restaurant. Oh, excuse me. A little bit of frog on my throat today. Number 1, rising utility bills. Gas and electricity, we already know they've gone up about 8-9%. The water companies want to put it up, don't they? But fortunately at the moment they've been stopped by the regulation bodies. Rising food costs predicted to increase by 20% over the next 5 years. Now, petrol and diesel, we'll all be pleased to agree that come down a little bit lately, hasn't it? But predicted during 2014 that actually they're going to go up again. You'll all know this figure. The inflation rate at the moment in the UK is 2.7%. And you probably all know this figure, and that is that the average wage increase is only 0.7%. And I know lots and lots of people that actually haven't even had a wage increase in the last 3 or 4 years. I know an awful lot of people that actually have had to apply for their own job again. I hope that's not happened to any of you that are on this webinar today. What does all this mean? Well, it means one thing. It means less disposable income for the people that are going to come and eat with you. And you might be thinking, okay then, well, they're going to have a little bit less money, so what does that mean then, Marcus? Well, less disposable income for your customers, whatever type of catering and hospitality business you actually run, means generally they're going to have less holidays. I know when I've struggled before in the past, less clothes. One of the first things to go is holiday. You don't go abroad, you might go away for a long weekend. Not that there's anything wrong with England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland. I love the UK, love Scotland, love England. But you go away less, spend less money on holidays. You buy less clothes. You go, well, do you know what, I've got a wardrobe full, I'm just going to wear them out till they sort of go threadbare and I'll just buy some when I need them. Less cable, TV packages. And then of course we go, well, less takeaways. I'm not going to go and have that Chinese or that Indian on a Friday night. I need to save some money. Less sandwiches. We'll make our own. I'll go down the shop, I'll buy my bread, I'll buy my meat, my cheeses, and I'll make my own. You know, that's going to save me sort of £5 a day, isn't it? £25 a week, £100 a month it's going to save me. And then less meals out. Again, interesting, you know, you might be going out or gone out once or twice a week now. You're going sort of, you know, out once or twice a month now. And here's a great one. I love this one. You know, you go to one of the coffee chains, don't you? You have a coffee, you know, minimum probably now about $2.45, isn't it? You know, you have some of those nice little biscuits or those nice little cakes. You know the ones I mean, and you know the chains, don't you? And you get to the till and you pay. You come away with a bill for like £8 for sort of 2 coffees and a few little bickies. And here's another one which we all know about, don't we, in the catering and hospitality industry that we all work in. Alcoholic beverages now. People are buying less when they go over. Why? Well, because, I'll give you a little example. I was in Tesco the other day and walked in, went up the escalators, and right in front of me at the top of the escalator, so you had to walk past them before you even walked into the store pretty much, was a massive great 2 pallet load of Carlsberg lagers. 275ml, 15 bottles of 275ml for, I kid you not, £8.60. £8.60 for 15 bottles. It's no wonder people aren't buying as much alcohol out of home. Here's a really, really worrying slide, isn't it? 53% of UK households are worrying about having enough money to cover living costs in the next 12 months. And for me, the two important words on there are, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, the two most important words for me on that slide are living costs. That means no treats, no nice luxuries, no play monies, as I would describe it. So no nice stuff. That's just worrying about paying the gas, the electricity, the mortgage, the rent, the rates, all that sort of thing. And here's an even scarier fact. If the last slide wasn't bad enough about 53% of the UK households being worried about living costs during the next 12 months in 2014, this is some information that was earlier this year by the BBC back in May 2013. And you might look at that slide and go, what? 1 in 5? 1 in 5 high street businesses are going to go bust in the next 2 years? Surely not. It cannot be right, Marcus, can it? Can it? Just think about for a moment the little high street maybe where you live. And I know where I live down the road, you walk down the high street now and it sort of goes like this. It goes empty shop, charity shop, open shop, empty shop, charity shop, open shop, empty shop, charity shop, open shop. And I don't know what your high street's like, but I read a piece in the Sunday Times, it was only a couple of days ago, about a lovely lady writing a huge article about the high street, you know, disappearing. And it's predicted that 1 in 5 will disappear in the next 2 years. So what this means, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really important point I'm going to make, so please have your pens and papers ready, is if there are less high street businesses, it means that if you've got a pub or a restaurant, a cafe on a high street, less people are going to walk past your door. Now, if less people are going to walk past your door, it means that there's less people going to walk in your door, which means you are going to have to become more of a, here's the key word, destination for people to come and eat and drink with. What's also quite interesting is that in the same BBC news back in May of this year, that internet sales are now up 19% year on year. And I was listening to Chris Evans just yesterday, and he was talking about that one day alone there was going to be £500 million spent on the internet on that one day just a few days ago. But here's some really, really good news for all of us. The fact is people have still got to eat and drink, and you can't, no matter what you can get on the internet these days, you physically can't get at your computer screen someone putting their hand out there and giving you a filet mignon, can you, with dauphinoise potatoes and honey glazed carrots. It's just not going to happen. So people have actually got to go and get the food, be it that you can now order online, can't you? Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm running a pub, I'm running a restaurant, running a hotel, running a cafe, running a deli, running a takeaway. This question is going through your customers' minds an awful lot more. And it's this: can we afford to go out? I want to share some really good news with you. And that is, people will go out. Research proves this. Research, the people we work with in our research prove this. But people will go out less often, but will, let me repeat that word, will spend more money if, and here's the big word, only 2 letters but a huge word, if they consider it to be what I would describe as a wow experience. So they had a marvellous memory. And if you're thinking, well, okay, Marcus, can we afford to go out? Okay, my customers are thinking about that, so let's go down the 2 meals for £10 route, or we'll go down the 2 meals for £8.49 route. That'll do it, won't it? If that's what you're thinking, think again, because it won't for most people. And what's going to happen now, going forward, is lots and lots of people are going to go out for a meal on an occasion. I remember when I was a kid, I'm going to show my age now, but when I was a kid, I used to go out with my mum and dad to the Burnie Inn, just down the road in, I won't say where it was, but just down the road from me. And we only used to go out on occasion if it was a birthday or an anniversary, and more people are just going to go out on an occasion. So what do this means to your catering and hospitality business? Well, very simply, it means less customers and less revenue. Unless you can stand out from the crowd. Earlier this year I was with Rayner, the food critic from the TV. He's on TV quite a bit. I've not seen him on TV funnily for a little while, but he writes in one of the Sunday magazines, and I was with Jay and he shared with me his number one tip for a catering and hospitality business, and please write this down. I did this on a video a little while ago, some of you have probably seen it, but his one tip was to, here's the key word, differentiate yourself from your competitors. And I completely agree with Jay on that. You need to differentiate yourself in order to stand out. It's being different. So let me share with you and help you how you can stand out. And as I said when I started this webinar, I was going to go quite pacey, so I'm going to give you a lot of information now. Scribble furiously like mad, and make lots and lots of notes. So how can you stand out? What is it that differentiates yourself from your competitors? A few things for you to think about. What's different about you? Or what I would ask you to think about is what could be different about you. What could be different about you? Again, earlier this year I had the pleasure of spending a little bit of time with Aidan Byrne, who some of you will know, runs a fantastic restaurant up in Lymm, in the northwest near Manchester, called Church Green. I always get that wrong. I don't know why I say Chester Green. Church Green. And what Aidan said to me is he was struggling, and he'll readily admit to everybody he was struggling. Aidan, by the way, for some of you that probably don't know this, was the youngest ever chef in the UK to get a Michelin star. And he does lots and lots of steaks now and burgers. And what he said to me, he says, Marcus, lots of people serve burgers, but you've got to differentiate your burger. You've got to make it differently so it stands out. So what could be different about you? And if nothing's different about you, I can share a little quick story with you. Last year I went to a little place called Latte in France, went skiing. Well, actually I went snowboarding because I'm absolutely rubbish at skiing. The truth is I'm rubbish at snowboarding as well. But anyway, I tried. And up at the top of the mountain were 3 restaurants that all looked the same, that all had the same food offering. There was nothing different about them whatsoever. And I want you to take these 2 words on board today, ladies and gents. These 2 words are this. It's just pure luck. Just pure luck. Which one you're going. And you can't be pure luck. You've got to stand out. So think about what could be different about you. What could you do that's different? Let me move on to the next point. What are you known for? Some of you are probably now going, well, not really sure, Marcus, not really sure whether we're known for anything. And I'm going to ask you, when you go away from this webinar, to sit down and think about what could you be known for? If I asked all of you, okay, what's Nando's known for? You'll all go, piri piri chicken. Now, Nando's sell a ton of other stuff other than piri piri chicken, but they're known for piri piri chicken, aren't they? And think about, as I would describe it, what could you be famous for? Famous for? And some of you are going, well, we're not really famous for anything. And I'm asking you to think about something that you could be famous for. And I'll let you into a little secret. It doesn't have to be your food. Point number 3. Hope you're making lots of notes, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3, your target market. It says there, be crystal clear about your target market. And let me share this with you very, very early on point 3 is, if you think that your customer is everybody, then think again. Because if you try to please everybody, you will end up pleasing nobody. So, question to think about. Who is your target market? Who are they? How do you get to them? What is your message? What are you telling them? Have you got a message? Is there anything that you're telling them? Lots of questions to think about. Now, I can see 1 or 2 of you already, now we're into this slide, are asking me questions in the chat. But fantastic, ladies, gents, thank you so much for this. 1 or 2 questions coming in now. I will answer all the questions at the end, I promise, and I'll stay on as long as I need to answer all those questions. So, target market. Think about who it could be, and I'm going to give you another little secret here on how to look for this. Is look at the people that are coming into your catering and hospitality business now. Research your current customers, and here's the clue. Here's the secret. Look for patterns. Look for patterns, because there'll be patterns that appear. There'll be a certain type of customer that will come in your door, a certain age group, a certain demographic, with children, without children. There's certain type of person that will spend a certain type of money. Look for patterns, and then ask yourself this question: are these my ideal customers? Are they my ideal customers? Some of you might be going, well, not really sure, Marcus, whether they are my ideal customers or not. And let me leave this with you on this point, is when you think to yourself, are they ideal customers? Are they the type of customer that is going to help you earn a decent living in your business? And if you go, well, actually, no, they might not be my ideal customers, ask yourself this question: who do you want your ideal customer to be? Let me move on to point 4. What then do you do to get your customer to act? And there's a couple of things that you need. You most definitely need to have a strong call to action. A strong call to action. And what you also need is a compelling reason or offer to pull people in to your food business. So a strong call to action, a compelling reason. Let me just talk about this one. Point 5, value and price. And I know you're scribbling furiously away, making lots and lots of notes, which is fantastic. Oh, and I'll just tell you something, just by the way. The reason I'm asking you to make lots and lots of notes, because some of you, I'll guarantee while you're listening to me, aren't making lots of notes. And if you remember when you were back at school, for some of you like me, it's a few years ago now, but here's some really useful and really interesting information for you. That if you make notes whenever you're doing anything, your memory, your recall goes up by 80% over a 2-week period if you review those notes for just 5 minutes every day of the week. And here's another interesting, useful piece of information. If you don't make any notes, whatever you see and look at and hear, you actually forget 80% of it within the same 14 days. So, let me talk about value and price. I want you to write this down. Value is what something is worth. Price is what you pay for it. Let me repeat that. Value is what something is worth. Price is what you pay for it. And also, value is how you make people feel. Please write that down. How you make people feel. People will pay money. Research shows this. What's going through your customers' heads, whether or not they're going to pay money to you or not, are these 4 words. Also, please write this down. When you or I go and buy something, this also goes through our heads subconsciously. You might not consciously think about it. This is going through our heads, and this is going through every single one of your customers or potential customers before they eat and drink with you. And these are the words. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And it doesn't matter how low a price you've got, i.e. I talked earlier about 2 meals for £10. It doesn't matter how low it is if it's not worth it. I've been out for some of those meals recently. You know what? I've vowed never to go back, because actually the food wasn't worth £10 for 2 people. It wasn't worth it. So, as I already mentioned, people are prepared to spend more money but go out less for a better experience, a great experience, a marvellous memory, a wow experience, as we would describe at Food Profits. Also, your target market has different perceptions of value. So some people will consider £50 to be very cheap for a meal, and some people will consider £50 to be incredibly expensive for a meal. And that's why your target market is the single most important thing you need to know about running your catering and hospitality business. Question to ask yourself is, are you giving your customer a wow value? Because, ladies and gents, value will get your customers back in the door. And even free can create a lack of appetite, can't it, if it's not worth it. So now then, let me just move on to the next slide when it'll come up. Here we go. The 2 things you need to do to stand out. And there's not a lot of information on this slide. In fact, there's just a couple of lines. It says there, you need to learn what you need to do to stand out. And then point 2 is you need to do what you've learnt to do to stand out. And of all the slides that you're going to see today on this PowerPoint presentation, this is the most important slide. Why? Well, because most people won't learn what you need to do in order to stand out and do better. And then a lot of people will learn it, but then they won't do it. They won't implement it. Execution is key. But you can't possibly do something unless you first get the information in the first place. And there's a great phrase I heard a few years ago. It's this: you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. I'll repeat that for you. You don't know what you don't know until you learn it. One more time. You don't know what you don't know until you learn it. You can have two people in a room, one will get the information, one will still get the information, they'll both get the information, and one will go away and do something with it and the other person won't. Why? Interesting question. So that is the most important slide in my opinion. So let's have a look at some stuff that you can do. The next 4 weeks are crucial. Why, you may ask? Well, you all know this. Christmas and the New Year coming up. This is the greatest opportunity for you as a catering and hospitality food business owner to build and strengthen the foundations of your business, because as you all know, this is the busiest trading period for catering and hospitality business. It's the busiest time, so this is opportunity time, ladies and gentlemen. However, here's something interesting. It's followed by the slowest. One moment, I've going a little bit too quick here, ladies and gents. One moment. It's followed by the slowest trading period for catering hospitality business is in January. Excuse me, I'm slurring my words a little bit. I'm just going to have a little drink of water. So this is your time now to capitalise on Christmas and New Year, and we're going to share with you now just one thing that you can do in the next 4 weeks that is crucial, absolutely crucial, going forward into 2013. And I'm only going to give you one thing to do. The reason for that is if I give you 3 things to do, you won't do them. Some of you are already saying to yourself now already, oh my goodness me, something else for me to do. I've got tons of things to do already in my business. Christmas is on the way. I've got all this stuff to do. I've got lots of turkey dinners and functions and evenings and parties coming in to see me. And that's all fabulous, fabulous stuff, because it means you're doing what you love, you're earning some decent money, and you're giving those customers that wow experience. That's all great stuff. But I want to prepare you to have the best possible January you can ever have in 2014, and also have a fabulous year in 2014 going forward. And this is why I'm going to get you to do one thing. Over the last 7 years, I've probably trained around about 4,000 people. And one thing I've noticed, that if people are given too many things to do, they don't do it. They just get overwhelmed. And this is why we're just giving you one thing to do, which is complete laser focus. So here it is. You need to capture your customers' contact details so you can communicate with them in January and then for the rest of the year. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is your single most important objective in your busiest trading period, which is now, Christmas and the New Year. This is what you should be doing. Now, excuse me, let me just move on to the next slide, because I'm going to share with you how to do this now. And as I mentioned before, make lots and lots of notes on this, because I'm going to talk quite quickly. This is going to be quite pacey, because as I said earlier, I want to give you as much value today as I possibly can. What's the sales formula? Well, it's this. Know you, like you, trust you. Know, like, trust. You've got to be liked in order to be trusted, and someone's got to know you in order to like you. So if you in your business, or if somebody doesn't trust you, then they'll never ever come back and eat with you. If they don't know about you, they can't possibly find you and come and see you, and most certainly if they don't like you, they won't trust you. So first of all, what do you need to have? Well, you need to have what I would describe as a compelling message, an offer, i.e. we talk about there a comment card. And a couple of things for you on comment cards and offers. 10% off just isn't good enough. It's just nowhere near good enough. I know, I'm sure you all, like me, get flyers through your door from Indian restaurants, lots of other different restaurants, and they're all the same, aren't they? Remember what we said earlier about differentiate yourself? They're all the same. They come through your door, it goes 10% off this, 10% off that, free delivery within 3 miles, etc., etc. And they're all the same. It's not compelling. It doesn't pull people to do something, to take action. Everybody does it. So your offer and or your comment card needs to be, the word I would use is outrageous. It needs to be outrageous. And some of you might have seen me with some videos that we did recently at Food Profits on 3 steps to how you can be outrageous and get people to fill those comment cards in, because that's the one thing you need them to do in the next 4 weeks. Give you an example of a great outrageous offer to get your contact details from somewhere I went a few months ago now. It was a pub down in Woodhouse Eaves, and it was called the Bull's Head. So if any of you live in Leicestershire, Woodhouse Eaves, a pub. And we had on the comment card, they had this. They had, please fill in your details so we can keep in touch with you. You'll also be entered into a monthly prize draw for a case of champagne. Now, we've got somebody on Hayley today who loves champagne. I know you love champagne, Hayley, so you'll be down there straight away, I know, at the weekend. A case, not a bottle of champagne, a case. So did I want to give them my details? I absolutely did, even though I don't really like champagne. I actually consider it to be sort of sparkly, dry white wine, but don't tell anybody that. But what they also had on their comment card was once a year we do a prize draw, once a year for 4 days on the Pullman Orient Express. The Pullman Orient Express. Did I want to give my details? Of course I did. Now, some of you are already going to yourself, oh, Marcus, goodness me. Well, how much is that going to cost me? And if you're thinking that, you're thinking short term. You're not thinking long term. And we need to be thinking long term. Because what it does, it gets all those customer contact details so that you can market to them long term. And that's what we're after, ladies and gentlemen. Let me move on to point 2. What you need is you need the name, you need the email, you need the mobile telephone number. And what I'm also going to suggest is ask for Twitter accounts as well, because more and more people are going on Twitter now. And let me ask you this question when you're thinking about it, because you might be going, oh, no one's going to give my mobile phone number, are they? When was the last time that you didn't open a text message? When was the last time? And you all, like me, will now be going, well, I've never not opened a text message. I always open them. And you do, don't you? So there's a little thing that you can think about, because if you've got everybody's mobile telephone number in January, when you've got some great offers on, you can text them, can't you, to come and see you at your pub, your cafe, your deli, your hotel. The next one I want to talk about is consistent message. You need to have a consistent message. Consistency builds trust. Please write that down. Consistency builds trust. Your marketing always needs to be consistent. And there's an acronym that I use quite a bit called KIT. Keep in touch, K-I-T, which means that you communicate with people regularly. It's really important that people get to trust you. And keeping in touch will help people trust you. Don't know whether any of you know what's oh, excuse me, bit of a tickle in my throat today. Don't know any of you know what's going to happen in 2015. I know I'm talking about 2014 to you today, but in 2015 it's guaranteed that we'll have a general election. May happen next year, but it's guaranteed it'll happen in 2015. And let me ask you this question: when was the last time that you saw your local politician? And most of you are now saying to yourself, well, I can't remember, Marcus, actually. Maybe it was the time of the last general election, and you'd be right. It was. And the next time you see them will be at the time of the next general election, because they only come and see you when, please listen very carefully to this, big ears on for this one, they only come and see you when they want something. And you and I don't want to do that, which is why we need to have a consistent message which we communicate people regularly, which is my next point. Communicate regularly so that people begin to build trust in you. And when I talk about regularly, I'm talking something along the lines of once a month, not once a day, once a month, but regularly and consistent. I had the pleasure earlier this year, I've met quite a few fabulous people this year. I met David Moore, who some of you know David. David runs 2 Michelin star restaurants in London. He runs one called Pierre de Terre and he runs one called L'Outre-Pied. Lovely, lovely guy. I had the pleasure of interviewing him, and we recorded it all. And he has a newsletter that he sends out to all his database every month, and it's every single month, it's consistent. Every single month you get it, communicates regularly. It's got some great stuff on there. Talks about what new dishes are on the menu, and he talks about things that they've got going on at his restaurants. And there's also a little video on there that Marcus Eaves, his chef, his Michelin star chef, just shows one of the dishes that they create. Just again, keeping in touch, communicate regularly. Let me move on. Right, you need to have 5 to 7 touch points. What's a touch point? Well, a touch point is when somebody gets to see, feel, hear you, what you're about. So if you put a flyer through somebody's door, that's a touch point. If you phone them up, that's a touch point. If you email them, that's a touch point. If you tweet them, that's a touch point. If you send them a birthday card or anniversary, they are touch points. And research proves that most people need to see between 5 and 7 points before they do this. This is the key bit. I've talked about it before. Take action. Take action. And what this is all about fundamentally, ladies and gents, it's all about showing that you care for your customer. And you might want to write this down, that being cared for is the strongest human need. There's a great gentleman that I know in New York that runs a lot of New York restaurants. He runs, one of his famous ones is Union Square Cafe, a guy called Danny Mayer, and he's got a great book called Setting the Table. And he goes into the depth of customer understanding as being absolutely crucial, and I completely agree with him. Just while I'm on this small point about 5 to 7 touch points, and actually I said small point, this is a huge point, I just want to give you a couple of questions, just a couple of golden nugget questions that you can ask people, ask your customers when they ring up to book with you. And here's question number 1, is this. Ready? Here we go. Is it a special occasion or celebration? You actually want to know that because you can make their experience better if it is, and actually it means that you're communicating with them really, really well. Another question you can ask them, another great question you can actually ask them is this. Is there anything else we should know? Is there anything else we should know? And if there is, they'll tell you. So they'll tell you if somebody's got an allergy or somebody's got a food intolerance or somebody needs this or needs that. Or it's really important. It builds up a depth of understanding. What you're focusing on here, ladies and gentlemen, is the relationship. Focus on the relationship, not the money. Let me move on to the last point on this slide. Hopefully you're making lots and lots of notes. Conversion to sales. This is the next point, and this is why your comment card needs to have a powerful offer, and it needs to have a consistent message, and you communicate regularly with people, and you continue to do it, which is why we have 5 to 7 points, and then convert to sales. So as I mentioned a minute or two ago, focus on the relationship, not the money. People love to buy, but don't like to be sold to. So it's opportunity time. Why is that then? Well, you already know really, don't you? Because more customers than ever are going to come through your doors in the next 4 weeks. I'm just going to have a little drink of water. It's quite funny for me doing webinars because I've done a few of these in my time. Got into these a few years ago, and I can see all of you that are on today, and it's fantastic to have so many of you on today. But of course you can't see me. We on future webinars you will be able to see me, but it just means that you just hear me. But it's almost like, for me, it's like I'm talking to myself almost. Quite funny, you know, spooky kind of way. Okay, line number 2, or bullet point number 2. Your list of customers is the most valuable asset to your catering business. It is. Some of you may never thought about that before. Some of you have probably never have anybody share that piece of incredibly valuable information with you before, but it is the most valuable asset to your catering food business. Let's suppose people started disappearing tomorrow, not walking in. What would you do about it? How would you build it back up? If you've got a list, you can do something about it. You might be going, well, my chef is the most valuable asset to my catering food business, and a chef and a team of great people are a fabulous valuable asset to your business. But do you know what? They're actually not the most valuable asset, because if you haven't got a list, or you haven't got people coming into your restaurant, your pub, your deli, your cafe, your takeaway, if you haven't got people coming in, there's nobody to cook for. Last point on this slide. 88% of caterers won't do what I've just shared with you to do. Why? Because although they get the information, they won't do it. You remember I said earlier about you can have 2 people in the same room, both people get the same information, one goes to do it, one doesn't. And how do I know that 80% or 88% of caterers won't do this? Well, the reason I know that is because over the last couple of months I've probably been out about 22, 23 times, and of all the people I've been out to see, only 3 have asked me for my contact details. Only 3. And there were some big hotel chains in there, there were some big pub chains in there, there were some really big national restaurant chains in there that just never even made an attempt to find out who I was so they could communicate with me. Don't, ladies and gentlemen, let that be you. And if you want a great example, for any of you that are in the Midlands, there's 1 or 2 people on here today from Derby and Nottingham. There's a great restaurant in Derby called Restaurant Zest, run by Stuart Baddeley and his sister. And if you get a chance, go in there for some food when you've got a minute, and just look at what they do in there to capture people's contact details. They are absolute masters at it. Go and have a little look at it. Right, so I've already mentioned this to you, but you must take this action. This is your biggest opportunity this year to prepare for a great future. As I said earlier, to stand out, you've got to learn what to do, and then you've got to implement what you've learned to do. And you'll be pleased, I'm sure, to hear that one of your three free gifts is We've already done for you, we've done it all for you, so you've got no work to do whatsoever. We've done for you a data capture comment card, which you'll get at the end of this webinar today. Ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to share with you, just for 7 or 8 minutes, something that we're launching at Food Profits in January of 2014, so just in 4 weeks' time. We're launching a membership site for catering and hospitality businesses. I'm just going to take about 7 or 8 minutes just to tell you a little bit about this that we're actually launching in January. And the reason we decided to do this is Steve and I, for quite a while now, have been doing coaching and helping food businesses on one-to-one basis. And what came out of it was 2 things really. 2 things became really apparent. The first thing that became really apparent was there was a lot of businesses struggling out there that need help. That was point 1. And point 2 that became apparent was the fact that a lot of those businesses needed affordable help. So what we decided to do was take all our years of knowledge and expertise and Steve's chef skills and my expertise in marketing and customer relationship and giving that wow experience, and we decided to put it all together and package it so that we could get it out to more caterers than ever at an affordable cost, so that we can help as many people in the industry as we can, because Steve and our's passion is to make sure that your customers get the very best experience when they come and see you. And I want you to write that down, right? Because your mission, ladies and gentlemen, is to give your customers the very best experience that you can, because they deserve it. They deserve it. And if you do that, you'll love running your business more than you've ever done before, and you'll make more profit than you've ever done before. Your customer experience determines your profits. So we're going to launch this in January, and it's guaranteed to get you more loyal customers and to give them such a wow experience that they just can't wait to come back to see you. As I mentioned just a moment ago, your customer experience determines your profits, period. Please, please, please write that down. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'll become a member, what's it going to do for me, how's it going to help me? Let's suppose that you run a decent sized restaurant or a pub, or maybe you've got 2 or 3 little pubs, regional pubs in the Midlands or somewhere else in the UK. I know there's someone on today from Birmingham that runs 5 or 6 really great pub restaurants. I've actually been to 1 or 2 of these, little local. When I say little local, they're not really little, but they've got 5 or 6 around the Birmingham area. When you implement what we teach you, you could easily make an extra £100,000 a year, easily, with what we're going to teach you in the modules of Food Profits membership. Now, some of you, I know, will be saying to yourself, well, it's alright you're saying that, Marcus, but I'm a little cafe down the high street, or I run a little pub bistro, little gastro pub out in the country. £100,000 is going to be way in excess for me. I'm just never ever going to make that amount of money. And okay, I take your point and understand completely what you're saying. So let's suppose then that you only made an extra £12,000 a year. Would it be worth being a member of Food Profits? And of course the answer is you don't know at the moment, do you? So what I just want to take just a couple of minutes and just share with you a sneak preview inside our Food Profits membership. Just going to give you a little sneak preview here, just have a little look around. I'm only going to take a couple of minutes. When you come into our members area, you'll see a screen that looks exactly like this, and this is the dashboard. And I'm just going to go across the top, a couple of minutes, give you a quick sneak preview to see what massive value you're actually going to get from this site. Our core training, there are 9 modules of core training, from getting your marketing right, because in my experience and Steve's experience, most caterers don't do a lot of marketing, and what they do tends to be not particularly good. We've got premises, margins and revenues, how to make more margin, increase your revenues. It's quite interesting because in the last 5 weeks I've been working with 4 different caterers that when I've asked all of them how much money they're making on a dish or a beverage, do you know what? None of them could tell me. And then when I started talking to them about, well, what's your break even? Again, none of them could tell me. We've got in here production operations, how you can find and manage passionate, productive staff. And we've got a whole module on customer experience, so how you can give your customers that wow that I talk about. We've then got the pantry, which is full of additional resources and a Rolodex in there, which links to the best people that we work in the industry that can help you. We have 6 weeks to success, which is where we always tell you to start, because that picks you up from wherever you are on the path that you're on, whatever type of catering hospitality business you are, whether you've been doing it for a little while or been doing it for a long while, and we'll laser focus you through what you need to do to benchmark your business and then put an action plan in place to measure the return that you're getting on your investment. We've got case studies in here from real people just like you that have used us before and have done incredibly well. We've got expert interviews here from a local guy down the road that you'll have never heard of but turns over £1 million in, as he describes it, his one-room boozer, to Michelin star chefs that we've been to interview. We've got a Michelin star chef in there that was the first chef in the United Kingdom to run a 3-star Michelin star restaurant. And then we've got the boardroom, which is a little bit secret, but I'll give you just a sneak preview into that one as well. In there you've got people like James Kahn that we spent some time with earlier this year, and we managed to record all of what James shared with us about how he's been successful. Incredibly powerful stuff. Let me just scroll down to the bottom. One of the things you've got in Food Profits membership is your own group, your own private group, which is just a group just for Food Profits members. And that is one of the things that we found when we were doing our research and we were building this over the last 2 years, is caterers wanted more and more and more, is actually a sense of community. People they could talk to about problems or share successes with, a feeling of being part of a community. Incredibly powerful, built in to this membership site. We've also got ongoing support for you, so you can contact us at any time, me, Steve, Carl, Ray, the rest of the team. And please write this down. There are only 3 things you need to be successful in life, and we're talking about being incredibly, phenomenally successful in a catering and hospitality business. You need to learn what to do. You then need to do what you've learned to do. And the 3rd thing you need is ongoing support, which is us, mentors, coaches. What we also do every month, in addition to adding tons and tons of new content into Food Profits membership site to make sure that you bang up to date with the latest information, technology and techniques and tools, we do live webinars every month. And here are some of the topics here. I won't talk through all of these, but things like profit from presentation, scores on the doors, social media marketing, website reviews, mindset for success, menus for margins. And what we do on every one of those webinars every month is we have handpicked the best experts in the industry that will talk to you live with me or Steve or whoever and share with you their learnings every single month for an hour to an hour and a half. So incredibly powerful stuff. Let me just move back now to the slides. So that just gives you a little sneak preview. So again, you might be thinking, well, okay, let's say I only made £12,000 a year, but Marcus, you know what? You're going to in a moment say to me that it's going to cost me £1,000 a month. Well, £1,000 a month and I'm only going to make £12,000 a year. It's only going to break even, isn't it? So I'm not really going to be making anything if it's going to cost me something like £1,000 a month. It's not going to cost you £1,000 a month. The investment for this program is £47 a month, which is less than the price of a coffee every day. £1.55 a day, less than the price of coffee. So if you look at this on how much your investment is going to be for a year, it's going to be £564 for a year. Now I know a couple of Indian restaurants in Derby that pay more than that on a full page monthly glossy ad in one of the Derbyshire magazines. They pay more than that just for a month. So if you are now saying to yourself, okay, well, yeah, I am a small caterer, I'm probably not going to make more than £12,000, is it really worth it? I'll let you decide. Let me just share with you what the return on investment would be if, let's say, you only did make £12,000 a year and you signed up for Food Profits in January when we start this off in January, and you are going to spend £564. Your rate, or rather your return on investment, is 2,128%. So is it worth it? Well, I think it is, but it's your decision. I said earlier that anticipation is power, and if you know what's coming, then you can make better decisions. And better decisions, as it says on the slides, mean a better future, because it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Just share with you one or two people that we've worked with at Food Profits over the last few years. Here's Jason, that runs 3 cafes in Cambridge. He also is a big sandwich producer. And the reason we've put up the websites for you of these people is because they are all happy for anybody that's on this webinar today to actually contact them and ask them about us, because at Food Profits, one of the things I said earlier is we believe completely in trust and transparency. So you're welcome to phone any of these people. Jason's going to make an extra £52,000 this year by working with us. Here's one from Brian Fields of Fields of Anlaby, voted a couple of years ago Britain's best butcher. If ever you're up there over in Hull, go in and buy some meat off him. Lovely guy, runs a cafe. He had all sorts of problems with his cafe in Delhi this year. That's Brian. If I move on to a couple more, there's Robin at the top there that runs Laura's Idea with his mum Laura. Those guys this year will make another £27,000 profit, pure profit, as a result of working with us this year. There's another one down here from Jill and Norman at Jill's Kitchen down in Melton Mowbray. I've just got to read these 2 lines to you to start with. I love this. It says, "Thank you both for all your hard work getting us noticed on YouTube and page 1 of Google. Truly remarkable, since we don't have a website." And I've got to tell you, that's not down to me and Steve. I've got to tell you, that's down to Carl, our internet magician, that actually did that for you. Here's another testimonial. Ian Wilson, one of the co-directors, co-founders, co-owners of Creative Events. Creative Events, for those of you that are on today, may not know, run all the hotel, restaurant, bars at London Excel, Earls Court, Olympia. Also do outside catering events throughout the UK during the year. Events like Henley Regatta. Very, very well respected.